Good morning and welcome to Cramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Friday the 13th. So let's see if there's any scary about that date on the financial markets today. Remember, this is for educational purposes only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever mentioned doing this. This is live events, but it's the best education we can do. So here this morning we'll start with ARM Holdings that has broken this falling trend line or this falling channel here. Currently testing, or yesterday tested the upper part of the cloud. Didn't close above it, just at the upper part. The RSI also closed just below the 60 threshold, so it's going to be interesting today. Can it actually break higher, or will it slide back lower? If it does close above the cloud and RSI closes above the 60 threshold, well, then there is upside potential back to resistance around 170, 172. Otherwise, it will start sliding back lower. On the general index, we have S&P500 still a little bit in the corrective phase. It didn't manage to break higher. We are still in an uptrend, however, but a correction a little bit lower could still be seen down to 6,000, maybe a little bit lower. But I still think we will see it being fairly strong towards the year end and going into the new year. The Nasdaq 100 also took a little bit of a breather yesterday, but still in a bullish trend. A little bit of divergence, as you can see. This peak here is lower than this one, so there's a little bit of divergence, but the trend is still bullish. So let's see. But if it takes out the little bearish cancel there at 21,313, then we could see a correction down to around 21,000, maybe a little bit lower. Here pre-market, we are currently up about 0.5%. So let's see how we open today. Dow Jones is still in a corrective phase. Got hit a little bit yesterday again, about 0.5%, very close to this 61.8 retracement at 43,753. I think we could test that, maybe dip lower to the 55 moving average that is coming up here, and the 786 retracement at 43,395. On the Asian market this morning, we have Seng got hit by another round of selling, almost 2% down as we speak. If it takes out the 19,924, I think we'll do that. We are resuming downtrend. RSI rejected at 60 threshold, and it could push lower in the coming week. If it moves back above this little spike up here, 20,542, there's potential to test that massive bearish candle here and about 21,000, but really needs to close above that 21,070 to establish a bullish trend, because this is a very bearish sign where the sellers are massively in control from the beginning until the end of the session. Eurostoxx 50, little bit positive day yesterday, indicator a little bit higher. We are in a bullish trend, no divergence. We could push higher, but we need to close above 5,000 for higher levels, towards 5,075 and 5,100 and beyond that. Fairly strong support here around 4,900. The DAX index also in a bullish trend, tested its previous all-time highs yesterday, didn't close above, but if we can get a close above, then I think we'll push higher towards 21,000. We are a little bit stressed, and I could have seen a little bit of a correction down to around 20,000, but let's see. If it takes out that little dip there at 20,277, then we are likely to see that. We are slightly up here pre-market, so let's see. Let's have a look at that. As we can see, we're slightly up there, so maybe we'll break higher during today's session. CAC 40 on the other hand, still struggling. Once again, tried to get into this gap area, but got sold off and got hit. It really needs to close above 75.11 and thereby closing this gap for any bullish move that is sustainable. Euro-dollar is about to cancel this inverted shoulder-head-shoulder pattern. We talked about the past few days that could be the very likely outcome. It's currently testing the lower part of the right shoulder. So if it's being cancelled, which I believe it will be, well, then we are seeing euro dollar pushing lower to below 104 and down to around 102.41. And looking at the weekly chart, we can see where that comes from. Well, it comes from these areas over here back from 2022 and just around 138 projection of this uptrend here that is broken barriers out. So there's some support down there. I think we'll get down to that level. On cable or sterling dollar resumed downtrend yesterday. We talked about it that there was that risk because it couldn't get above the 200 moving average. There was still negative sentiment on the RSI, and currently we are back below 40 threshold. If it takes out 126.10, I think we'll see it sliding lower towards the previous lows here, and there's no divergence on the RSI, indicating we are likely to see cable down there. For cable to push higher, it needs to take out these peaks here, but I don't think they'll do it because we have the 55 and the 100 moving average coming down, and the 200 is fairly strong resistance. Also, the euro sterling cross bounced strongly yesterday, continuing this morning, has bounced from the 82.25, which is just around these lows here back from 2022. I think we could bounce even further. Slight divergence here on the RSI, meaning that we could be in a stretched or trend exhaustion. I think we could bounce higher towards 83. Let me just zoom in here. 83.11, maybe all the way up to 83.35, and test this upper falling trend line in this wedge-like pattern here. Dollar yen still crawling a little bit higher, but I think it will fade here just below 153.25, 153.30. Could still spike up to the 61.8. We are above the cloud, but the RSI is still in a negative sentiment. It needs to close above 60 threshold to push higher. So the indicators here are not agreeing. So we have the 55 pushing higher. We are above the 200 moving average. We are above the cloud. So that should tell you, well, we are in a bullish trend. However, the RSI needs to close above 60 threshold. Let's see about that. I think if we close above 153.30, then we get the RSI to confirm the bullish trend, and then there's potential higher towards 155 and maybe even up here in the 156.75, 157.70 level in the coming weeks and towards year end. If we're sliding back below the 55 moving average, we can see 149 support coming under pressure again. The euro yen basically dancing sideways here around the 38.2 retracement, excuse me, and at 160.20. So it can't really make its mind up. If you see it sliding back lower below 158.55, 56 here, and the RSI back below 40 threshold, expected to resume downtrend. Aussie yen rejected at 98 yesterday. Could have another go if it does break it. I think we'll see a push up to 99, maybe up to 99.77, which is 61.8 retracement. But then we have the 55 moving average giving some resistance, and also the 100 giving resistance here. So it's really hard times here, and also we have the cloud. So it's going to be interesting. If we slide a little bit back low, we can see the RSI probably going back below 40. It's currently just above it, and we are in negative sentiment. There's no divergence, indicating likely lower levels. Sterling yen rejected at the 55 and 200 moving average we talked about yesterday. That could be a little bit too strong to really take out, and it didn't even get up to the 61.8 retracement, which we discussed yesterday, that it could have spiked up to that if it starts taking out 192.5 and slides back below the cloud area here. Expect a further selling pressure down to 190 and possibly lower. Aussie dollar the bounce didn't play out yesterday. It got sold off towards the end of the session, so we didn't get a bottom reversal pattern that we discussed yesterday that we could have seen. Now testing these lows here again. However, it is a little bit stressed, and if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see what's going on. We are back here towards these spike downs here, but this time it seems like it means business because the weekly RSI is in a bearish sentiment below 40, and it wasn't the other times here. So I think we will see it keep sliding lower. Also, all moving averages are tilting over, declining. So I think we'll see Aussie dollar pushing lower in the coming weeks. What is not pushing lower in the coming weeks is the dollar Canada. Dollar Canada is pushing higher. We can see here it now reached the 176.40 projections at 142.42 of this correction phase here, and we are pushing higher on the weekly, and we are in this region here, and we could push well, that's the region back from 2020, and there's potential higher. There's no divergence on the RSI showing a positive sentiment. There's a little bit of diversion here on the daily RSI, but we're still in a bullish trend, and I think we'll push higher towards 143 in the coming week. The sterling Canada in a correction phase. Let's zoom in so we can see about that. Correction phase, it didn't get all the way up there, but very close to, and then we have a correction hitting in. We are in a bullish trend. There's positive sentiment on the RSI despite sliding back below 60. There's no divergence, meaning indicating that this is merely just a correction that could take it down to test the lower part of the cloud here. Just around 179.70. No, sorry, 179.17 it is, sorry. But could spike down to the 38.2 retracement at 178.78. I think we will resume uptrend after a correction phase. Euro-Swiss is on the move, bouncing from this support area here at around 92.70, above 93 now, above 93.30. And I think it could push up to test the 55 moving average that is coming down here, and back to the what was the 61.8 retracement here at 93.56. And the rising trend line here. Let's see if it can actually break above that and spike up to maybe the falling trend line up here in this triangle-like pattern that it actually broke out of, and then it could demolish that. But we have the 100 moving average, and we have the cloud area also being adding to the resistance up here. So let's see if this bounce will run out of steam. Also key will be, can RSI get back above 60 threshold or not? If it does slide back lower below 93.30, then I think we can see this support area down here around 92.5, 92.70 being tested once again. Dollar Swiss really on the move, and we discussed that possibility yesterday when it broke above the falling trend line here. I have deleted these trend lines over here that was forming a rising wedge-like pattern. They are obsolete now. Very strong move yesterday, higher. And straight through the 61.8 retracement of this correction phase here, and also straight through the 786, and we are pushing higher, and I think we could test previous peak. I actually think we will push higher towards 90 and 90.5 area in up here fairly shortly, maybe even before year's end. I do expect a little bit of correction here. Positive sentiment on the RSI, currently no divergence indicating likely higher levels. And finally, on the dollar index, also on the move, pushing higher, went straight through the 106.73 yesterday, that resistance there after being rejected at first take, and pushing higher now above the 61.8 where it stopped yesterday. And I think we'll see it pushing higher towards the 108 and also possibly higher. We can see it came after a correction phase that took it down to 50%, almost down to the 61.8 retracement. But let's remove that one. And now we can also remove that one and concentrate on the bounce there. For this picture to be demolished, Well, first clue will be back below 106.70, which I don't believe will happen. But to totally demolish it, needs to take out 105.40. Gold showed potential yesterday to just spike above the cloud and above the previous peak here at 27.21.5, but then got hit by sellers. We also got the RSI to close above 60's threshold right there. So we are actually in a positive sentiment, but it seems to not following through. So that is really a key resistance that it really needs to take out for upside potential. And now it seems like we are just sliding back a little bit. We're still above the 55 moving average. 100 is still rising. 200 is still rising. So the underlying sentiment is bullish, but it really needs momentum to close above this area here. Also, silver got hit hard yesterday after once again trying to get above 32.37, 32.30 around this level here. Got rejected once again and back below the cloud and back below the 31.50 level. So we are caught here back here in this range here, and the RSI is also still in negative sentiment, being rejected at the 60 threshold. Really, you can see how key this is. It really needs to take it out with a push higher. And for now, it seems like it's really struggling. Also, copper couldn't follow through. It did have some promising moves the past few days, but it couldn't get above the 200 and the 55 moving average, was declining. So we could be stuck range bound in this area here. What I will do, I'll just clean up a little bit because it's not that obvious. But it's a little bit directionless at the moment. I would say we did have some promise bullish as trend building up, but the RSI didn't really support it by a close above 60 threshold. So I think we could slide back lower here toward back below 420. So sometimes you have to stay on the sideline a little bit and wait for really strong signals. On crude oil, I'm just repeating myself every day. We're caught in this range, sideways range here between 66.70 on the WTI and around 70. It seems like we have a falling tops. So will we get a little bit of a triangle-like pattern, descending triangle-like pattern maybe? I don't know, but let's see. There's still resistance up here and around the cloud. We're still negative sentiment. So I will again wait to see. I want to break out also on the Brent Crude, obviously, that it's not really moving. It's just basically also sideways here, but lower and lower peaks here could indicate a bearish breakout, but I want confirmation before that to occur at 72.72. The Dutch gas closed that gap here yesterday. We warned a little bit that it could occur, but it was a little bit up in the air. But it went straight through yesterday, and it closed the gap, and it went down to the 61.8 retracement at 42.42, where we are now. We could see a little bit of a bounce. I think it will bounce up to just below 44, and maybe try to move back to the other gap area here. We had this double top and a band baby top and reversal pattern. So that really played out. The double top, we have reached the target, and we are testing some support here. We could see a bounce from current levels. The Henry, just one thing though, if it starts moving lower, it could also push all the way down to the 786 retracement at 40.5. But then I think it's it. I actually think we'll start bouncing here a little bit. On the Henry Hub gas, I was a little premature there. Henry Hub gas tested the previous peak here at 356. If it takes it out, well, then there's potential up above a 364, which is the spike back here last year, more or less at the same time last year. It was a little bit earlier. It was actually in October. If it takes out that, well, then we're looking at levels above $4. Yields are on the move, and the US Treasury yields, here's the 10-year, has pushed to resistance here at 432, closed above yesterday, a little bit below now. We still have the RSI not closing above 60 threshold. I want to see that, excuse me, I want to see that for a bullish move. And I think we are going to see that. We have the 55 moving average coming up here, giving some support, underlying support, breaking above the 200 moving average. So the underlying support is there, also above the cloud area. I think we'll see him pushing higher towards 442, but 450 is still the big key resistance we have talked too much about over the past many weeks. So let's see. We are in a bullish trend. Just need confirmation from the RSI to that it will follow through. The 2-year also bouncing, and we can see also the RSI climbing higher. If we're moving about 420 and 422, well, then we are also back in bullish move towards the previous peak head. Well, there is fairly strong resistance with the 200 moving average coming down. If it can get above that, well, then there's potential up to 4.5 or 449. So really strong there. If it takes out the 403, 402 down here, well, then this bounce or bullish picture has been demolished. On the EuroBund, EuroBund got hit by heavy selling yesterday down to the 786 retracement at 134.86, bouncing a little bit now. Could slide lower. Let's see about that. But I think we will bounce a little bit more in the coming or today and going into next week. But if it takes out the lows from yesterday, expect a sell-off down to around 134.40. The UK Gilts also hit by selling. Not a big surprise really. Couldn't get it really to stay above the 55 moving average there. Got rejected by the cloud. Despite RSI being in a bullish sentiment, a positive sentiment, I think we will slide back to the 61.8 at 94.33, possibly down to 786 retracing at 93.73. To demolish this picture, first of all, it needs to get back above the 55 moving average, and it really needs to close above a 96.54, which I don't think will happen. Bitcoin, well, not really that much of a move. Hovering around just around 100,000 now. We're a little bit below, so it can't really make up its mind. Should it continue higher, or should we have a larger correction? Key support 90,682. We are still in a bullish trend, but it is fragile. It is in exhaustive mood. Also, Ethereum caught in this range between 3,500 and 4,100. Really needs to break out of that for any meaningful direction. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and a nice weekend when you get to there. Talk to you again.